everybody. Welcome to episode 4 of Global Comic Safari. This week, Matt and I will be tackling the Iron Man 1 set. This is a big set, lots of history, lots going on. So we're gonna bypass pickups and some other stuff today and kind of jump right into it. Matt is joining me as always from the Foreign Comic Collector Magazine group. See him on Facebook and Define999 on Instagram. Follow him, some good stuff.
What's up, Jon Z?
All right, so I'm going to jump right into it and just kind of show off this set just to get a little look at what we're looking at and see here. There we go. So one is not in the set. We kind of got a late edition from a friend, but this is kind of what we're looking at. It's a 10-book traditional set as far as first editions in foreign languages in the U.S. version. Speaking the U.S. version, it is printed in May of '68. Classic cover by Gene Colan. Some census data. This bad boy is different than most of the Silver Age books we would talk about. There are some extremely high grade ones floating out there. 2 9.9s on the census, if you can believe that. 36 9.8s. Just over 5,800 graded copies, which really, thinking of the high ratio of 9.8s, that's huge. Price point, if you wanted to get yourself an American one, $250 to $300 will get you kind of in that mid-grade 4.5, 5, 6 potentially. You can get a good size copy for that. You want to get yourself a nice copy like a 9.4, you're gonna be looking around 2,500-ish. So nice price point. It's not an unaffordable key. Not a traditional key as we think about it. I mean, it's more a cover almost, because Iron Man, this isn't even in his first probably 40 or 50 appearances. You know, he's floating around a long time. This is actually a continuation from the story in Iron Man Submariner #1, which is also a nice cover. But
yeah, I like that cover too.
Needless to say, this cover kind of does pull your eye, and that's probably why people have really been fascinated with more than you would for just the fact that it's a later issue #1. So
yeah, I mean, Gene Colan. I mean, I love how it's almost like I don't know, is he pulling in on the stuff or exploding out, John?
I think it's an out.
Exploding out, yeah.
He's just busting through like a giant, I think of like a vault door. Yeah.
It's just so classic, iconic.
It is.
Amazing book.
It's a pretty cover, great, eye appeal, great, composition. So I think it's almost more of a classic cover than #1, but it is a #1, but it's such a weird one out there. So I know you wanted to start off with our favorite publisher here at Global Comic Safari, it seems.
It makes sense.
La Prensa.
It makes sense with La Prensa. There are neighbors to the south. Why would they not be why would we not be inaugurated with Mexican books? We're just right there. Same with, French Canada. But, okay, so this is the Mexican La Prensa, El Hombre de Hierro 1, published by La Prensa on November of 1968.
So about 6 months.
Yeah, about 6 months. Very close. This is the closest publication to the American original that we see. It's got full color interiors, and it contains the Iron Man story #1, as well as associated La Prensa advertising. One of the interesting things about the La Prensa books is they were a little bit wider in their format. Go to the original set pick real quick.
Yeah, just from my experience with La Prensas, they're almost a golden age size.
They're funky.
Quite. Yeah,
go to the set pick. You'll see how much wider it is.
Oh yeah, we didn't talk about this, but yes, there's just a lot of size variation in this set.
Massive amounts. I mean, it's
3 digest size. The Newton's an oversized. The La Prensa's big. Just lots going on.
And look at this. Look at you've got the American Iron Man 1 right there, and then the Mexican La Prensa next to it. It almost looks like in the Mexican La Prensa, it's like weighted to the left. Do you see how that is like that?
Absolutely.
Almost like they had to add some extra shit, and maybe even like an extra piece of whatever he's breaking
Yeah, there's some dead space over on the side.
On the right side. This is a Studio
Yeah,
HMG
there's some additional pieces in there. You're right. It wasn't in the.
Yeah, it's like weighted to the left. Okay, so this particular book was plagued with thinner paper stock. Not quite sure why. Normally, La Prensa books are better quality than American books. I hate to say it, but they were. But this one, for some weird particular reason, had thinner paper stock. So there's some quality issues. It dealt with things like color chipping and tears and loose center folds, and it kind of had some condition issues plague it that you don't necessarily see from La Prensa's from that time period. It just seemed like a more fragile book. Another issue is sourcing difficulty with this book. This book and its sister book, The Submariner #1, are way tougher books to find than the subsequent issues. In fact, The Submariner #1 from 1968 is one of the most difficult La Prensa ones to find. I mean, it can be very difficult. We're not exactly sure why. Rulo Pantoja and some of the other Mexican experts probably would know more. But this Iron Man book is in that same kind of world where it just doesn't come up that often. Maybe it's low print run or distribution issues.
So, just a casual collector question: is it a purple coloring originally, or was it a deeper blue that's faded, like we see in a lot of like the 70s and 80s blue covers?
I think it was more purplish.
Okay,
but I could be wrong. I don't know.
The other colors don't look particularly faded on this copy. I mean, the La Prensa single is very, very dark and deep. So I'm betting it was a purple shade, but just
it was more purple-ish than blue. This is a very nice copy. This is a Studio HMG copy. So I would say that color strike wise, this is probably closer to
close to what you're gonna get
to what you saw when it came off, off the stands. But this is a very tough book. It's a La Prensa Silver Age key, and it was the closest printed to the American book. So this is a biggie of the set for sure.
Okay. We're going to jump to another large format book on this one, and this is the Australian Newton edition.
Oh, yeah.
This one is just a bit more cartoony in the colors.
Mm-hmm. In the colors, and it was redrawn. I think this art is completely redrawn. I think they increased the size of certain pieces of material. You know how in the classic Colan artwork there's the people in the background? Go back to
that's clear on all that. They've taken them out.
Yeah, they're just gone. This is redrawn art here. And I don't know this, unfortunately, I don't know if it was an Australian artist. What I do know is this is the Invincible Iron Man 1 published by Newton in January of 1976. So it's a ways away. So it was almost into the Copper Age. This book is magazine sized. It's got black and white interiors. It contains the Iron Man 1 story, and it's got a poster inside of the Incredible Hulk 107,
which we're showing right now.
And it's
all the Newtons have posters?
Not all of them, only some. And this book also contained Captain Marvel 2 story. But it was one of those ones. See on the top, you got your little banner. It's got the free inside super color poster. All the books that have posters will have that. And I believe all the books, Newton's also did cards, like some swap cards. And those are crazy hard to find. But most of the books that had swap cards had that in the nomenclature. So you can tell it pretty easily. The hard part with this book is finding one with the poster intact. Sometimes, just kids in Australia wanted posters for the room. So of course they took posters out, and you can find them. You can find this one with an intact poster, but you're going to have to sit and wait a while.
It's a pretty book. I like the blue color. It's I don't know.
There's no denying it's pretty with the kind of
pop.
It pops. It's got contrast for days.
All right. So moving on. we are going to the Spanish.
Oh, no, Brazilian.
Brazil. Sorry, mine bad. I jumped out of order. All right, the Brazilian.
Yeah. Now, this one's neat because notice they kept the people in there, but it's so like weirdly magenta pink. And then on that green background, it just, I feel like Iron Man does get lost.
Yeah, there's the pink, there's the blue metal, and then they recolor the people red, the title's yellow, the background's green. There's a lot going on.
Yeah, they changed it up. And this is digest.
Yes,
this is a digest size format, so it's smaller. So this is the Brazilian Bloch, Homem de Ferro 1, published by Bloch on April of 1975. This book is full color. It's printed in a smaller digest format. And unfortunately, guess what, John?
What's up?
I couldn't get a picture of the damn poster.
I did skip that.
My issue doesn't have it. What's up?
What's the poster supposed to look like? Anybody know?
I don't even know. I've never seen it. This is one of those weird little holes where, like, I hit up everyone that I know that has this issue here in America. No poster that I could tell.
How many copies are you thinking are you aware of in America?
Yeah, on that one I'd have to speculate because this is definitely an easier one to find. Because I haven't this one. This one's easier to find because it was published in 1975, so it's kind of in that mid Bronze Age range. Ones I know for sure is maybe like 4, but I'm sure other people have.
There's more floating around.
Yeah, for sure. But even still, I hit up the Brazilian comic group and said, "Hey, does anyone know? I just need a picture of this poster. Could someone help me out?" Nothing. It was like crickets. Went to the second one, and then I hit up my buddy. His name's Alexander Libris. He's a Brazilian, and I asked him, and I was like, "Dude, can you find me this?" And he didn't have the book, and he hit up a friend, and he didn't have the poster. So for whatever reason, this poster might be hard to get. I don't know what it is, but I still haven't ever even seen one. And for
a digest size, it'd be a small poster.
Yeah. And it says it's basically, I think it says accompanied with a poster colorado. So a color poster's in there. So I don't know.
What if it's mislabeled and they never put the poster in?
Could be. Could very well be.
And us poor Americans are all hunting it down.
And what I like about this cover too is they instead of the first issue metal thing, they just used it for their nomenclature of the poster. They just plugged it right in there. That's kind of cool.
I like it. It's not as classic as the original, but I like seeing some of these colors just played with.
Oh yeah, the pink is funky.
Yeah.
I think that was a weird colorization choice.
All right, now we're gonna go to Spain because I'm skipping things all over the place. So
it's okay.
This one.
Let me ask you this, John. What's your first gut reaction when you see this?
I like the black cover, and it's very modern.
It does. It has a modernist theme, right?
They detailed him a little more. I don't know if it's because of the cover, but he just stands out more.
Like it's like all the clutter from the classic artwork has been removed, and the Spanish artist just kind of focused on old Shellhead. This is the Spanish Vertice El Hombre de Hierro 1, published by Vertice.
He's very muscular for
and he's way muscular.
Suit of iron.
Yeah, it's almost like he is in more spandex type things.
Absolutely.
This one was published in 1969, so that's actually not that far away from our original American publishing date. But this book's cover was reimagined by the famous Spanish maestro Enrique Torres. Along with Lopez Espy, and I know I've talked about Lopez Espy before, but this artist, he started creating covers for Vertice. Now, why they took the Marvel material and reimagined it, I'm not exactly sure. We've talked about it and been like, well, maybe they just wanted to keep Spanish artists employed, or maybe they just wanted to put their spin on it, or maybe for some reason in their licensing, agreement with Marvel, they weren't getting the covers because, you know, we've seen in other stuff like colors not being right or whatever. But this guy went on to produce horror work for Warren Magazine. So he did Vampirella, eerie and creepy stuff. So he's kind of a famous guy. And so this kind of, we were talking about crossover appeal earlier, John, before we started. Yeah. This is one of those weird kind of books that I think has that crossover appeal simply because of the artist. Okay, now this is a funky book. One of the things about this book is it's hard to find in really decent condition. This looks pretty rough, but this is actually a very nice one that I've seen. Most of them are always trashed, and I'm not exactly sure why, but it just seems like they really, maybe because they were thicker, because they had a lot of stories in them. I'm not exactly sure.
Size, you know, hard to get materials to hold them properly.
Yeah, I mean, who knows? I think it's interesting that they say para adultos on there. That means that, you know, it's for adults, so whatever. And another interesting thing about this book is that the publisher would alter the panels and actually alter the story continuity.
Huh.
So
on this issue or the whole series?
All throughout these early Vertices, they would take the format and they would chop the panels out, and then they would for whatever reason, they would alter certain continuity. They would just cut whole panels of certain parts of the story out, or like they would do weird stuff. And I'd heard stories of Spanish collectors that had gone back and reread the American story and being like, "What? I don't remember that part." Yeah, so there was some funky stuff that happened with these. For some reason, I forgot to include what was in there on this one.
That's all right.
I have it written on an article somewhere, but I'm pretty sure it's Iron Man 1, and it has maybe 2 and 3 in it.
Okay.
I think, because it's a thicker book.
So that'd be a pretty good sized book.
It's all black and white interiors. There's no color inside. But I think the fun thing with this book and with most of these early Vertices would be to just buy them, take the American original story, and just kind of go through and see how they funked around with the way they did with their panels. I think that'd be a lot of fun.
Yeah, that's always interesting. Just see, for them to mess with the interior is very intriguing. I mean, that's a lot of work.
Yeah, why? And why? See, that's the other interesting thing. Why?
Yeah, what
did they? I don't know.
What did they see?
Yeah, maybe it was censorship. I don't know. I don't know what it would have.
I will see if we can focus on that in another episode one day and just see what we see that they thought needed removed.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, so we're going to jump to the other little digest size book in the run.
Yeah, in Europe.
And this is the Portuguese.
Palarex.
It's a very clean cover. It has less stuff on it than the previous one we were talking about, the Spanish. So.
Oh yeah. Yeah, they removed the concentric circles, and I'm not exactly sure why. And the title for this one is, I don't know even how to say it. It's Acau y Misterio, Serie Fantástica 12, O Homem de Ferro, and it was published by Palarex in 1977.
It was
much later.
It does look like the same artist though on the Iron Man, right?
It is.
They
used
the background.
They used Enrique Torres art and they just kind of repurposed it.
Yeah, that's a pretty book. I mean, if I'm going to grab one, that's probably the one I'd buy.
Yeah, that's a very cool one. And this one's funky for a lot of reasons. Do you notice how it has a staple there, but it's just one right in the middle?
Yeah.
That, when I first got the book, I was like, oh, I bet I know what happened. Someone pulled, the staples got removed and someone just stapled on the interior. But no, these are actually production with just one staple in the spine, right in the center. And I can't say I've seen that in a lot of foreign books. I feel like the saddle stitch has followed the American model, and it's just odd. One staple.
And then
isn't that weird?
You're just prone to a lot of things falling apart then when there's only one.
Yeah, like the book would be loose up on the top and down on the bottom.
Is this a thick book or a standard size?
No, it's very thin.
Okay, well that's good. I mean, a thick book with one staple. You're asking for just a disaster.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, definitely. And
beautiful book though.
And it contains the Iron Man 26 story, so it's not anywhere near Iron Man 1, which is odd.
So they just repurposed the cover later on.
Yeah, they just repurposed the cover later on, and it's black and white on the interiors. So it's similar to the Spanish. So it's almost like they had the leftover Spanish artwork, and then they just repurposed it for what they wanted.
Said, hey, this is a beautiful book. We should make it.
Yeah, and it's what's the difference between that and the Spanish? The Spanish was like a year after, so it was like 10 years after the original publication in Europe. Kind of neat.
Absolutely.
And this one is tough to find. This is a rare one. I think since I've been around looking for this book, I've only seen maybe 4 or 5 come up for sale. Like, they come up for sale, you buy them.
Well, that's the motto with all these, right?
Why does that keep coming up, John? I don't know.
All right, we're going to jump over to Chile.
Chile.
All right. This one, coloring's close to the original, but as you kind of pointed out in the past, they put a banner on it that runs through his head.
Why did they do that?
Oh, man.
Understand it. You know, this was one of my top books for 2019. It's just an odd choice. They kept our people. They removed the little medal, the little medallion.
Yeah.
And it's, you know, this is the El Hombre de Hierro, issue 3. It was published in 1978 by Editorial Nacional Gabriela Mistral. The book is in full color, and it is kind of a smaller format than American books, just by a little. It's not by a lot.
Kind of interesting. They kept the American title, but added, a subtitle.
Yeah. Yeah, it's clearly Iron Man, and then they just added their Spanish subtitle. Well, maybe some of that, like I've said before in the past, and I won't get into this book's political reality down there, but it was sort of the dictator in Chile was trying to move the country more capitalist and less leftist. So it was kind of, being associated with the United States, it was part of his power. So maybe, calling it Iron Man, and maybe that had something to do with it. I don't know. We could speculate all day long.
All right. So we're going to move to one more book in the same kind of look on this one.
In the same area. This is the Argentinian. So this is the Argentinian El Hombre de Hierro issue 3. It was published in 1981, so it was a few years after the Chilean, by Editorial Nacional Gabriel Mistral. So it's the same publisher. They just kind of, I think, maybe printed it in country or something like that. At least that's my understanding of it. And everything is basically the same. I mean, it's all the same. The interiors are all the same.
They're both Hispanic-speaking nations, right?
Yes.
It's very odd that they'd kind of redo it, I guess, for another country, but I suppose.
Well, it's like what Scott was talking about on that last show. There's like these weird regional distribution models, and so you might have Chile print a book for a group of countries around itself, and then you have some other money, maybe in Argentina, that's like, hey, let's do a regional printing of this and sell it. So they kind of, even though it's within the same I mean, who knows, dude? It's crazy. I do think that the Argentinian, well, this is the difference. Look up on the top right.
Yeah, I'm looking at that little colored piece. There's a red one on this Chilean, but the Argentinian, it's black.
Yeah, and up on the top it says Precio Argentina.
Huh.
So it's got the price in Argentina, and that's how you tell the differences.
Well, I'm also just looking at this little piece below the title. It's red here and black here.
Yeah.
Look, like just a little piece recolored for no apparent reason.
They still said, let's go over his face.
Yeah, but both times they didn't bother to shrink it or do anything there, but they
just kept it.
But they recolored that little group of people for some reason. Very. I can't figure this one out. I'm not gonna lie. This one's
this one is definitely one of those fun little regional head scratchers for sure. But it's basically the Chilean just printed later. I do think I could be mistaken. It could be black and white in the interiors, but it's basically all the same stuff.
So I keep flipping back between them because I'm just in awe that they recolored that one little piece. And it doesn't seem to really affect anything. All right, so we're going to go out with one with a little bit of, more of a collector tip, I guess, here if you're hunting this guy down. We're going to go to France, which is completely recolored. Kind of that bright blue like we saw in the Newton, but just enough different that it hits you as funny.
Yeah, and notice they kept the people below, but all the people that were kind of above got removed for Silver Surfer and Iron Man, and then X-Men Daredevil. This book's title actually is that longer Les Superhéros. It's the French Strange #2, Les Superhéros de Stan Lee, published by Lug on February of 1970. So this is a pretty old issue as well. This issue contains X-Men 2, Iron Man 2, and Daredevil 2. And the Silver Surfer 7. So this is another one that's got a little thickness to it. This one has spot color interspersed with black and white, similar to the Greeks.
Okay.
And the biggest issue with this book is that there's a bunch of facsimiles. Facsimiles.
So I'm going to flip through these just to kind of show them off. This is the more older one, right?
This one I believe is the second printing one.
Yeah, it still has the logos on it, is what I noticed from this to the more modern one. It's got the X-Men and the Daredevil kind of in the bottom corners. It still keeps a lot of the original look. How would you tell the difference? You'd have to look on the spines, and we'll get to that in a second. Okay, so then I'm going to flip over to the more modern one.
Mm-hmm. And you'll notice on this one, they zoomed in on the artwork.
Yeah, I initially thought they'd taken out the X-Men, but it's kind of still hanging out there on the very edge, as has the Daredevil. You can kind of just see tops of letters. So you're right, they almost zoomed it in when they were copying and pasting. Maybe they had a rough edge copy or something.
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure. This one will be the easiest one to delineate, though, because of that zoomed in nature. And there's actually, of that second one that you showed, there's another one before that one. I just don't have a flat of that. But if we get to, did I send you the pictures where you've got the little spines?
I don't think I got that one, but that's all right. What do we got to talk about on this guy?
So basically, the difference is going to be
there's a white edge on this guy.
There is, and all of them have a white edge, but on the spines, you're going to see the second facsimile is actually going to say facsimile.
Oh, okay.
Okay, and then the third one is going to have a different font from the first one that they were copying. Now, the problem is I couldn't get a flat of that third one.
Okay.
So this one actually I think is the second. And then there's the third one. And yeah, it's complicated as all hell.
So be careful buying this book.
Yes. Contact someone that knows. Try to contact us in the group because for the most part, if you're on French eBay, they list if it's a facsimile or the original from 1970. But if here in America, I don't trust American eBay. You could very easily end up with someone trying to sell something and not disclosing which printing it is. Do you know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. I mean,
but one of the things about this one is go back to the original.
There we go.
See how trashed it is? Most originals are in very rough condition for some reason. I very rarely see really nice ones. This is actually pretty average for that book that I've seen on French eBay over the years. I'm sure there's nicer ones out there, and I've seen pictures of some. But, if this book right here was available to me, I'd buy it. I'd buy it at like $250.
If it's too good to be true looking, then you better check it.
Yeah, definitely.
So look at the spine on these guys, or request a picture of the spine if it looks too good to be true.
And the thing about the French that makes it kind of undesirable, of course, is that it doesn't include any guts of the actual Iron Man 1 story. Same with the Chilean, same with the Argentinian, same with the Portuguese. I think the Spanish did. I think I mentioned
a cover set is more than it is a.
It's way more about the cover set and the books themselves from a cover perspective for sure. Because I'm pretty sure there was some other, like on past shows we've showed books that had different covers but had the guts.
Yeah.
But this show had more books to it. It was a little meatier, so we didn't go into that. But there's definitely some Iron Man 1 stories all out there. You just got to find them.
I'm going to show the group pick one more time just to kind of show all the variation of this guy. This one, just a lot going on across this this spectrum. You got a couple light blues, you got the purples, you got some blues, you got black, you got green. I mean, they recolored the heck out of this edition. So,
and all different formats too. I think, with set building, it's variation and novelty kind of fuel it. It's, when you can get sets that have just huge swings in variation and format changes and interesting little stories, and, it makes it fun.
Yeah, this is a fun set. Iron Man 1's not a book I love. I've only owned a copy once and I sold it, but it's a fun set if you're an Iron Man guy. It's going to be a fun one to build. The Iron Man 55, as we talked about, doesn't have a lot to it, so this one would give you something to hunt for a while and some time to find some good stuff. So
yeah, this one's definitely, and there's a lot of modern foreign Iron Man 1 cover recreations and stuff. You can go crazy with swipes with this set too. I mean, it's
absolutely
this is a really fun one to do. What I would suggest, probably the best advice on this set, is land those tough ones first. You're going to try to land the La Prensa. That one's going to be very important. And even though the French can be a little expensive and it doesn't have the guts, that one can be tough to find too, if you were waiting for a decent copy on French eBay. And the Chilean and the Argentinian are no joke either. Those are hard to find too. You've got to find your way into the country or hope that one hits eBay. I know that an Argentinian was on sale for $300 not that long ago. I don't know if it's sold or not. So this set could give you fits if you're not paying attention or willing to spend some money.
Yeah, or just have a lot of contacts in South America.
Yeah,
a lot of South America on this particular book.
And the Newton, you can find it. You just got to be a little patient. The Newton will pop up. Even the Spanish will pop up. The Portuguese, that Palarex is pretty tough too. I think that's another one that I haven't seen a whole lot of. It's just any of these books pop up. Really pay attention and do a little research and build some sets. Geek Gravity, man.
Absolutely, it's a pretty set. I like it. It's grown on me even as we've talked about it more. So, I guess I'd like to thank everybody for tuning in to this episode. We'll be back with you soon, probably next week. New set. We haven't even figured that one out, so we'll have to come up with some ideas.
Yeah.
If you're looking for a set or some interest, feel free to shoot us a message in the group. You can hit me on Instagram at ComicsaretheNorm or Matt at Define999 or 999. Almost did an extra 9. Or the Foreign Comic Collecting Magazine official group on Facebook. Check Matt out weekly on Foreign Comics Calling podcast, and you can catch me on Mondays on Tales from the FlipSide on this channel. So thank you all. We're looking for some suggestions, and we'll see you all real soon.